This is Gotham TV Podcast, episode 84, where we're looking at Gotham Season 3, episode 7, Red Queen.
Hey, this is Drew Powell. I play Butch Gilzine on Gotham, and you are listening to Gotham TV Podcast.
Welcome back, Gothamites, to this Season 3, Episode 7, Red Queen. This is Gotham TV Podcast, Episode 84, and I am one of your hosts, John.
And I'm your other host, Derek. Welcome back.
Yes, you're looking resplendent in red there, Derek, yes.
Had to get the Red Queen t-shirt on, right?
I think you did. It's such a Red Queen t-shirt, indeed. I've got red socks.
Okay.
Yeah. So I am a friend of Dorothy.
I see.
But yes, we're here for the Red Queen, a very mysterious title for this episode of Gotham, and one which is quite funky and weird and psychedelically, hallucinogenically fantastic.
Yeah.
A really good episode of Gotham again. They really are knocking them out of the park this season. I think
so, yeah.
Really a nice consistency to the episodes. Very good indeed. As well, just so that you are aware, we are at Heroes and Villains FanFest in London this coming weekend, I should say, on the 27th and 28th of May, where there will be a host of Gotham cast from David Mazouz to Sean Pertwee to Drew Powell, who you heard again very kindly introducing Gotham TV Podcast.
We really have to pay him a lot of money for this, don't we?
Well, I think we really do.
I think we have a dual photo op with him and a solo photo op just to make up for his intro for the last year for our podcast.
Yeah, definitely. As well as then there being Robin Lord Taylor, as aka Oswald Cobblepot.
Yes.
Yeah.
And of course Jessica Lucas.
And
as well.
Jessica Lucas. I keep forgetting.
Yeah, because she was added very late to the lineup for Heroes and Villains FanFest, but I can't wait to meet her. Really cool. Really cool.
Yeah, the Tigress. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And of course, for next week, we will have no YouTube video, because we will be in London at the Heroes and Villains FanFest. And so, yes, we'll just be doing audio only, but you can head over to YouTube anyhow and just listen to the voices of Gotham TV Podcast, myself and Derek.
Yeah, I hope to put in a couple of photos maybe from Heroes Villain FanFest during the coverage. Maybe, hopefully, I'll have some in time for the edit of that podcast.
Yeah, we will certainly see what we can do, and of course, you can find us on GothamTVPodcast.com/iTunes, or you can just search Gotham TV Podcast on any good or Oswaldian podcast catcher.
Yeah, absolutely.
I almost tripped myself up there.
Almost. I think it's time to get into the review of Red Queen, Season 3, Episode 7 of Gotham. What do you think, John?
Absolutely. Yeah. Derek, what are the case notes for this?
Yeah, this is an episode directed by Scott White, who directed Season 2 episode of Gotham, Prisoners. If I remember rightly, that wasn't one that we were particularly enamored with. It was where Jim was in prison for most of the episode. Very repetitive, showing the day-to-day life of Jim in prison. If I remember, it wasn't one of our favourites of the season, but I think he's redeemed himself with this episode.
Oh, definitely. I think it wasn't so much the direction or anything like that. I think Gotham works best when it is ensemble, and this is what they've been doing this season, and it really has worked. I think the problem with Prisoners was that it was just focused on Jim, and it just seemed a bit solo run, really. And really, I think after 3 seasons, what seems to work for Gotham is ensemble pieces, moving around quite a lot, looking at different arcs of different characters.
Definitely.
Throwing in a curveball here and there, going trippy, certainly in this season. And of course, looking at previous, like the Red Hood gang, for example. Yeah. So it really works well like that. And I think they're really focusing on that this season. Yeah,
absolutely. And this episode was written by Megan Moyston Brown. This is her 5th full writing credit for an episode of Gotham. She did Welcome Back, Jim Gordon, Everyone Has a Cobblepot in season 1. She did A Bitter Pill to Swallow and Pinewood. That was episode 9 and episode 18 of season 2. And she's also the story editor on most of the episodes of Gotham since season 1. So she knows these characters really well, and you can tell it.
Yeah, Megan is really charting a great course for Gotham.
Definitely.
And I suspect that may be one of the big reasons why it now has a season 4. Like, I think she's really strong here in crafting how Gotham is progressing here. So top notch, Megan. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Good job. John, do you want to tell us what Megan gave us with your spoiler-filled synopsis for this episode of Gotham, season 3, episode 7, Red Queen?
Sure. Valerie Vale recovers from her gunshot wound, but ends her relationship with Jim Gordon, knowing he manipulated Jervis Tetch into shooting her instead of Leslie Tompkins. Meanwhile, Tetch's plan for revenge is not over. He breaks into the morgue and drains the blood from his sister Alice's corpse for use on the elite of Gotham. However, as Jim tries to catch Tetch, he is exposed to the powerful Red Queen hallucinogen that shows Jim 3 parts to his life, as they might have become or might have been. A war-torn GCPD, a life married to Lee with 2 children, and an encounter with his deceased father. Jim is rescued from the Red Queen's effects by Mario Falcone, who brings him back to consciousness. Elsewhere, before his attendance to the Founders' dinner, Oswald Cobblepot attempts to manipulate Isabella, encouraging her to break off her and Enigma's blossoming romance, but to no avail. As Captain Barnes questions the suspect over the break-in at the morgue, he again loses control, but he and Bullock deduce Tetch's plan to spread the virus at the City Founders' Party and arrest him in time. Gordon decides to honour his father's wish, who had encouraged him to better protect Gotham by rejoining the GCPD.
Mm-hmm. While we breathe, we shall defend. Yeah, nice little family motto from the Gordons there as well.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
So I think it's time to get into our case notes. What we normally do in our episodes is we take our top 5 case notes from the episode, go through them, and as we discuss them, we hopefully will cover off all of our main points in the show. What do you think?
Yeah.
So John, do you want to take us with our first one?
Yeah, it's Gordon's bad trip down memory lane. This is the Red Queen, Babs, and the elevator. The 3 floors of Jim's life, really. Yeah, I mean, this was really good. I even just liked how the Red Queen was bought from the drug pusher by Tetch.
Yeah,
and
that was really cool.
Yeah, he's probably gone out of business at this stage. But
well, I think he might be dead now from his experience with the Red Queen.
Yeah, dead or in the loony bin.
It was quite good of him to do a house call over to Tetch's creepy apartment, wasn't it?
Yeah, he must have wondered what was about to happen or what was going on. But we have the first floor with Bellboy Babs, Bruce, and the Wayne case featuring really largely here. You know, is it a case of guilt over not having solved it yet? Leaving Bruce Wayne to the wind, so to speak, trying to find out his parents' murderer himself.
Yeah.
But we then get transported back to Jim in the army. Never leave your unit behind, screams Cobblepot, who's there, saving him from a massive explosion. Yeah, really interesting. But then we get transported back to the GCPD, where there are a ton of police officers, detectives, all slaughtered, wiped out, with Bruce Wayne with a really creepy mask as well.
Yeah.
Kind of saying, it's your fault. It's because of you, Jim.
It was a Jim Gordon mask, wasn't it, on his face?
It looked like it. It was very Mike Myers to some extent, like really creepy. Yeah. I love how Gotham does this, really sort of ramping up this just kind of general weirdness and creepiness. But, at the end, Jim falls back off the sort of the mezzanine of the GCPD, and he has a really girly scream.
Oh, poor Jim.
Poor Jim.
He did just get shot in the stomach by Bruce, though. I'd probably scream very girly if I got shot in the stomach, even in my nightmares.
That's true. That's true. But we come to his second floor now, and he's now with Nursey Babs, who he then transforms into Nun Babs. So, I mean, Jim really has a bit of a kinky streak here, I think.
I love the touch here. I love that Babs calls this out. It's like, I'm a figment of your imagination, and you're the one that put me in this revealing nurse outfit. It says a lot about you, Jim, you know? I really like those little moments.
Yeah.
I love that Babs is Babs throughout these scenes. She's definitely the crazy Barbara that we've seen for the last 2 seasons.
That's it. There's the really good moment where she says, well, go on, Jim. I think this was on the first floor. Go out, go in through the door. Or do you want to be left here with me in this small space? It's just the way she delivers it is really, really good. Yeah. But here we have Jim and a life that he could have had with Leslie and their 2 children, Julie and Frankie. It's sort of bittersweet, and it's gradually taken away from him. You get all the cobwebs coming on the dinner table, and slowly the children disappear from their seats, and then finally Leslie as well. But this life that could have been if Jim had, in effect, like stuck with her to some extent.
Yeah, it's an interesting little touch. And I love the kind of the timeless nature of Gotham. They do this quite a lot, where what we have here is a real 50s home. All the kids are dressed up in really old clothes. It's not a present day kind of thing. Even Leslie looks like something out of a really old film. Really like these touches here. Now in the comic books, there's no relationship between Leslie and Jim. Leslie's actually, I think she's together with Alfred, if I remember right. So she's a lot older than Jim in the comic books. But the kids that he does have, he has Barbara and he has James Jr. In the comic books, and he also has Anthony Gordon for a very short period of time in the comic books. A reason for that, but. This isn't a relationship to the comic books. These 2 kids, Julie and Frankie, they're a completely new creation for the show. It's not like a future that he could have had. It's a completely alternate life for Jim.
Okay, but within Gotham, it's the life he could have had.
Exactly, yeah.
Absolutely. And then we come to Jim's third floor. I mean, really, I think all of these floors are those kind of defining moments of Jim. And I wonder, given at the end of this episode, he decides to rejoin the GCPD because of this third floor, this third and final moment, who is, he's introduced to it through Cocktail Girl Babs. Yeah. Looking stunning in a dress, sipping a martini with an olive. But in this one we have Jim's dad, who returns to tell him about the family code the Gordons promised to live by. It was in his, I think, the ring on his finger.
That's right.
While we breathe, we shall defend. Focus on the good you can do. So, this is really an urge for Jim to kind of snap out of his moroseness to an extent and really try and engage back into Gotham and the GCPD in a meaningful, maybe, way, by saving people through the law. And it's nice actually that in this we also kind of get that hint from Harvey Bullock. He's been his steadfast ally and friend, and even in this episode he finally cracks and backs up Captain Barnes with decide what you want to do, get out of here, don't go off on one of your sort of vengeance trips to try and solve this. Either leave it alone and go and be by Valerie Vale's bedside in hospital, or come back to the GCPD and do something meaningful through the uniform and through the law. So it's a really nice link through this episode, I think, that's here, and presumably is a springboard now to maybe a slightly different Jim for some of or for the rest of this season, maybe.
I hope so. I hope he takes up this mantle of the Gordons, really, the people that will defend the people of Gotham. This is something that we know Jim becomes. We know he becomes the commissioner of Gotham in the far future or the near future. You never know. But it is nice to see him hopefully turning back towards that and seeing his way back to the GCPD. There was a while there I was wondering how they were going to get back in. He can drink whatever time of the day he wants to. So maybe that was going to keep him out of the GCPD for a while. But as Harv said, you can also do that when you're on the beat with the GCPD as well. So, hey.
But a really, I think, great thread through, Jim's exposure to the Red Queen hallucinogen here. Really good.
What a great idea. Yeah, really enjoyed it.
I think on to case note 2, and this is Oswald, Ed, and Isabella.
Yes, yeah, very important here. I think the kind of storyline between Oswald and Ed has been building and building really since they first met. Every one of the fans has really loved the interaction between these two characters. We saw Oswald reveal his love for Ed last episode, and then sadly Ed met Isabella at the end of the episode. This episode does add a little bit more to your theory, John. I think that Isabella is not just a woman that happens to look like Ed's former flame. You can definitely see some moments when Ed isn't looking, where Isabella is kind of giving knowing nods or knowing looks that she's playing him. Really, is what it feels like.
Yeah, absolutely.
Despite staying up till 6 a.m. chatting to him on the street,
she's doing a good job. This kind of spy espionage type thing, maybe for the Court of Owls. We do have in here at the founders' dinner, the founders' party, we do have, is it Catherine?
Yes,
from the Court of Owls, who says, "We're watching you. We'll be in touch to Oswald." And maybe it's not only Oswald that is being watched by the Court of Owls.
Maybe.
As she says, we make things tick in this city, really. So this could be another ploy by the Court of Owls here, looking at Enigma, given his abilities. But of course, really, Nigmogglepot now seems to be slipping through the fingers of Oswald. And Oswald really tries here to sort of sabotage the relationship before it begins by visiting Isabella at the library. Kind of saying, look, the guy you're dating, he was in Arkham. He's pretty bad. I don't normally gossip about staff employees, but,
Yes, he's a murderer.
He's a murderer. He's pretty messed up.
Yeah.
But this does not faze her. And this is why, it's either true loyalty, a true connection, or there is going to be something sort of tough coming down the line for Enigma, I think.
Absolutely. And I think that, it's a really good telling moment. And Ed does pick up on it, where she compares their relationship to Antony and Cleopatra, Romeo and Juliet, and Othello and Desdemona. And Ed picks up on it that they all died. What he doesn't pick up on is all the women were murdered, and then the men took their lives, I believe. They all committed suicide. So will she drive him to his death? Will she drive him to take his own life?
Hopefully not now.
I hope not.
It would be strange for the DC world if Enigma had the Riddler was snotted, basically.
Well, I think I did mention it earlier on in the season that the way I'm really looking at Gotham now is that it's its own series. It's one of the offshoot universes of DC. I don't think they can cleave too closely. I don't think they have to cleave too closely to our version or our comic book version of the characters. So if we do lose a big character like Ed, it would be an absolute shocker. But I think they could do it.
Yeah,
they could do it. I'd hate it. Don't get me wrong, I'd hate it if we lost Ed. But yeah, I think it does kind of paint that picture of Isabella, that there's something nefarious about her. I don't trust her at all here.
No.
It could be
way too cool.
Yeah.
And given the white locks in a head of her, then absolutely there's something suspicious about Isabella.
Yeah, maybe she's just the twin of Kristen coming back for revenge against Ed. Could be. We never know.
Could be.
Never know.
And of course, talking of white, she does have, as Oswald say, that swan-like neck that Ed maybe is attracted to.
I love that little moment from Oswald where he just says, and Ed loves neck, which is just a reference to the fact that he strangled Kristen Kringle. Like, what a horrible reference from Oswald.
Dark.
Very dark.
Really dark.
Loved it. Really good. Really good. I think we also kind of covered off case note 3 on there, which was Catherine of the Court of Owls. Great to see that character back. We know the last time we saw her, she had kidnapped 514A, the Brutal Ganger, as we were calling him. We haven't seen her since then, but interesting to see that she's been watching out for Oswald, and they'll be in contact with him to see if he'll join the group of the Court of Owls.
Yeah, she's fairly open to Oswald here. You know, she's kind of encouraging to him that, you know, they've had their eye on him at the time, at least at the Founders Party, that she really seems to be saying, you know, we want to work with you, basically.
Yeah.
And, you know, we'll be in contact with you when the time is right. But then we have that really, interesting scene at the end where she is talking to some, shadowy figure, bathed in the darkness of the room, where she says, once a criminal, always a criminal. You know, so it's almost like she doesn't really, or the Court of Owls don't really, give out much hope that maybe they can work with Cobblepot.
Yeah.
And that actually he would be, more of, an enemy or someone to go up against, rather than an ally here.
But it's interesting to find out.
Interesting.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to find out what the court do with people that are criminals in the city. Do they let them go? Do they take them under their wing? Sorry about that. To try and...
Do they turn their neck?
Turn their head, maybe, yeah.
Turn their head. Sorry, because I've still got I've still got Isabella's swan neck thing going around my head.
Must be it. But do they take him under their wing and guide him in this path of being mayor now, so that they have more control over the city? You know, I presume they have most people in the city under their wing.
Yeah,
which is the point.
But interestingly as well, who is this guy in the chair?
Well, the most important piece about him, we know, is that he's wearing the Gordon family crest, or the Gordon family motto on his ring. It's exactly the same ring that Jim's father had Jim find, you know, so he's got the same motto. So does this mean that the Gordon family were part of the court at some point?
And are they an ancient family of Gotham, like Catherine?
Absolutely. Remember, Gordon Senior was the district attorney at the time. Falcone did say that he worked very closely with the DA, with Jim's father. So yeah, lots of
few threads here that are starting to look as though they want to get connected.
Absolutely.
And this will be, this is really interesting now. Really building, I think, in this season of Gotham. Definitely.
I think so. I think for case note 4, I think we should talk about the actual Founders Party itself, because that is really interesting. Obviously, we saw with Theo Galavan's arc in season 2, we saw a lot about the founders of Gotham. We saw loads about the old families of Gotham. It's interesting to see they're still all behind everything. That this party itself is something that you'd kill your own mother to get to. Really, it seems like a really important social occasion for Gotham.
Yeah, but one that's going to get rudely interrupted by Jervis Tetch with his sister's blood plonked into the old red wine.
I know.
And yeah, I noticed he didn't take the Red Queen. Actually, that was really interesting. When Jim was about to begin his hallucination, the little bottle of the powder, is still by his side. Yet when he wakes up, it's no longer there. So maybe it was just part of the hallucination. You know, but, I kind of noticed that. But yeah, his revenge is not just simply on Jim Gordon. It is on the people of Gotham who he believes has failed his sister as well.
That's true.
And I do like, he says, I'll make mad men of the ruling class. There is a rhyme to that, but I can't remember quite what the first part is, but really nice kind of almost Shakespearean kind of feel to that.
Absolutely.
And
he says the heads of Gotham will roll, which I really like.
Yeah.
That's very
and
good.
I think, again, really good to see Jervis Tetch on form here.
Absolutely.
Absolutely manic, not afraid to use a gun, really, if given the opportunity, follows through on his threats.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed then just how manic he became when he saw that Captain Barnes was infected with his sister's blood.
That's right.
What does he says, "Oh my, is that my dear sister I see? She is in you, isn't she? What fun, what fun.
Mm-hmm.
What fun it will be when Captain Barnes goes loopers." The rats are going even worse now. They have no resemblance to what they were before. They're getting more violent, more out of control.
That's right.
So I suspect Captain Barnes is on a fairly downward trajectory into aggressiveness, craziness, and I can just imagine him like eating his way through the jail bars at the GCPD,
maybe
to get at these perps who are really, he does like getting aggressive and angry with them.
Yeah, but I think there's kind of a good thing here. Barnes is involving a lot of people in this investigation into the blood of Alice. So I'm wondering if someone like Lucius Fox, because he's been involved in this investigation, or Leslie Tompkins, because she was also testing the blood, or again Harvey, because he's been with Barnes the whole time, will they notice the change in Barnes before anything really bad happens, and will they be able to help them out because they've been involved? Now, I know Lucius Fox does say getting a cure for this could be years away. There's a great look from Barnes there going, I think this could be affecting me already. Could we work on that a bit faster, please, Lucius?
Well, he says we need this in hours, given that, it could have actually been deployed through Jervis Tetch's plan.
That's right.
So definitely.
Yeah.
But I like how Barnes, is kind of, he's keeping it under wraps. I mean, we've seen with his last will and testament as well. So he kind of feels that it's not going to end well. And I kind of like that. I like the fact that he kind of knows what's coming. He's also, he's slightly addicted to it because it's got him off his crutches. He feels more powerful, but that moment where it's revealed to Tetch that he is infected with this, and Tetch just loves the situation that's taken place.
Of course he does. Yeah, absolutely. It was also really cool, kind of, to see the old Barnes back from when he arrived in Strike Force season 2, episode 4, I think it was, where he was coming in, smashing chairs and making a play for taking over or cleaning up the GCPD. In here, we see him with Harvey interrogating a prisoner. And that moment, there's a real kind of anger and aggression to him that we haven't seen for such a long time, because he's kind of been off center since he got attacked by Galavan in season 2. He's kind of not been himself really. So yes, he's getting furious and angry, but it does really remind me of how he was introduced in the show as a furious, angry kind of character. So, great to see that back. But the one other thing I wanted to say, sorry, about the Founders Party. This kind of topic has come up a couple of times in the movies and in other stories. This idea of the ruling class of the city, which I really like that. Jervis Tetch is going after the ruling class. He's trying to poison them and take them out. So we had the 1%ers in The Dark Knight Rises.
Yep.
This was Bane's plan as well, was to take out the ruling classes, and Gotham would turn on itself. The people would take over the city, and it would be an orgy of chaos, effectively. So it kind of feels like Jervis Tetch's plan to take out the ruling class, this court, or the founders, is similar to that plan. I thought that was quite an interesting little Dark Knight moment, I suppose.
It's definitely a running theme through Gotham and through the books, this idea. And I suppose it's highly, deeply connected in with Bruce Wayne, this idea of, a billionaire, but also the other incredibly rich members of Gotham High Society.
Yeah.
And it really is a theme. And it's great, this theme, and trying to see them being pulled down, whether it's through Bane in Dark Knight Rises, or now with Tetch. Whereas, it contrasts quite nicely with season 2 with Galavan, who wanted to reinstate that and just circumvent and supplant the existing families.
Absolutely.
But his aim was to maintain this kind of nefarious, secret, upper class society.
Absolutely.
Controlling Gotham. Yeah,
and it's
interesting. Really good.
Yeah, it is also interesting they haven't got Bruce involved in the Founders Dinner. I know he's a bit young to be sitting around sipping wine, so I presume that's it's maybe something that he'll graduate to later on.
Well, he did have other things on his mind, and I suppose that does bring us on to our fifth and final case note, which is Bruce's date with Selina. Yeah, almost didn't happen. Thought he was going to get stood up, but she did arrive. She got busy.
Yes, she did.
I presume that meant stealing.
I think it did. Yes.
But yeah, it's...
I think so. I think there's the kind of point here with Selina and her lateness is really that she wants to make sure that Bruce knows he's waiting for her. Selina's not someone that's just going to come along on a date and get flowers and chocolates. That's not the kind of girl Selina is. She wants Bruce to know that she's not an easy plaything for him. You know, that's the kind of character that we see in Selena. She's always
like a ball of wool
exactly.
for a cat.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think she's just trying to kind of put Bruce in his place. Again, he's this rich billionaire and she's from the streets, you know, she doesn't want to be at his beck and call. And I like that little bit from Selena. I like that feeling of the character. It feels really like Selena Kyle. She wouldn't be someone that would just drop everything and run to the billionaire's house for a free meal. You know?
That's true. But it looked quite a nice meal. It looked like chocolate cake. It looked like salad. It looked kind of healthy and unhealthy, light and dark. You know?
I'm not sure whether he was going to serve both of them on the same plate. I think Alfred probably taught him a little bit better than that. But I do love that Selena asks for the chocolate cake first before any dinner at all. Like, cut the cake. Yeah.
And Alfred was concerned, you know, as well. He will be in earshot, and the lights have to stay on.
I know
teenagers out there. You've heard this before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I think we've all heard it in our lives at some point.
Absolutely.
But it just, you know, again, it's another great parenting moment from Alfred. You know, he's not going to leave Bruce alone with Selena in the house, you know. I think it's also because he probably doesn't trust Selena.
He still doesn't trust Selena, I think. Yeah.
I'm going to be within earshot in case she steals the large screen TV that I'm sure they have in the house.
Somewhere.
Yeah.
I wish they would reintroduce the Batcave, actually.
Yeah.
That seems to have been a great addition that has been underutilized in Gotham.
Yeah.
Even if it was just that they were down there a bit more often.
Yeah.
It would be really good, I think.
But remember, Bruce has sworn off doing this type of stuff. So at the moment, he is just being Bruce. He's going out to events and he's having dates with girls. You know, that's the Bruce side that we haven't really seen a huge amount of in the first couple of seasons because he was doing the investigation where he almost got killed 3 or 4 times. You know?
Yeah. I'm just trying to remember as well, the tape in the machine, not the tape, on the files from the computer. Mm-hmm. They basically were destroyed, weren't they?
Yeah, I'm not sure whether Lucius ever broke into the computer to get the full files out. I'll have to check that up, actually. But yeah, I think Lucius just went off and joined the GCPD. Bruce finished the investigation, stopped investigating this at the request of Alfred so that he actually might make it to his 20s. I think is the point.
I think as well, like, finally, like, Selena has I think it's a really nice little touch here from the writers where she says this thing between me and you, it's weird for me, and Bruce just responds back, it's weird for me too. It's kind of really just like that awkward sort of connection between teenagers as they begin a romance or something like that, you know. And certainly because of obviously the street urchin versus the billionaire child with a legacy. It's a really nice little touch just to highlight again that actually they are so different. And it's that's the reason why they're not just simply connecting. That there is something to be overcome. There is an attraction there, or there is something. But there's just some invisible boundary that is strange. So it's really really nice touch, I thought.
And I think Selena does kind of have a reasonably good point about Bruce. She's his only friend. There's nobody else that Bruce ever talks to outside of Alfred. So, and Alfred's kind of in the fatherly position here. We see him in the episode. So, you know, to Selena's point, if this doesn't go well for our relationship, that's the end of our friendship as well. You know, if something goes wrong here. So you got to think about this very clearly and very seriously, Bruce. If you want to screw up the rest of our life and the rest of our relationship, go right ahead. But she's not willing to do that either. So she does care for Bruce in that way, I think, as well. That kind of comes across. It is weird. So yeah. I think that's our top 5 case notes, John.
It is.
Yeah. We have a usual point of business, our Bullockism of the week. We did see a bit of Harvey Bullock in this episode. Thanks to those of you, our Gothamites, our listeners who've sent in your Bullockism of the week. Still the chance to win the Harvey Bullock pop vinyl that we have. Hopefully coming up later on in the season, we'll be giving that away. Please keep sending in your Bullockisms of the week, your favorite Bullock moments, even if it's one from season 1 or 2 that you thought that still stands out to you as a great moment. As we said last week, Bullock's getting a little bit more serious as the episodes go on, but there was a great little moment with Barnes in this episode, wasn't there? Where Barnes asks him, "What's the date, Harv?" And he goes, "Friday." He's got, what's the date, Harvey?
No.
He excitedly.
Such a good moment.
Yeah, he just excitedly answers Friday, as if he has just woken up on the couch for the fifth time this week, but remembers the day. He's sure of the day. Yeah, nice little moment.
Yeah, really good. And of course, to Jim, he goes, I'm not going to aid you in one of your bullcrap kamikaze missions anymore. Why don't you come back to the GCPD, Jim? What are you afraid of? Mm-hmm. It's the moments I talked about before, and it's a really good moment between former colleagues and a friend. Sort yourself out, Jim. Stop running, stop being afraid. And I think that connects back into the elevator and the three floors of Jim's life really, really well.
Absolutely, yeah. Some great little Bullock moments for this episode, definitely. But if you want to send in your Bullockism of the week, just send an email to us at feedback@gothamtvpodcast.com. Come follow us over on Twitter as well at Gotham TV Podcast, and you can pop on your Bullockism. You can hashtag it over there. That's why you can do it on Twitter.
And of course, we are on Facebook. Just go to facebook.com/groups/Gotham TV Podcast and join our group there for all the discussions around Gotham.
Absolutely.
Of course, we do have the Red Queen herself, this powder, as one of our notes as well, which was... And it was described as a blend of psychotropic plants.
Yes.
And I'm just wondering whether the Red Queen has been manufactured by the Green Queen in the form of the older Ivy Pepper.
Maybe. She does have green fingers.
She certainly does. So it'd be interesting because, of course, Jim is supposedly investigating the whereabouts of Ivy Pepper. Mm-hmm. Hopefully, that's kind of taken a slight detour at the moment, but maybe that will come back in episode 8. So, really nice little sort of off-the-cuff remark from the drug dealer there when he's trading with... Jervis Tetch.
Absolutely.
But we just wonder whether Ivy Pepper is responsible for the Red Queen.
Mm-hmm. Can I just say for one of my notes for this week is really the most gruesome moment I think I've seen in Gotham for a while is Alice being bled dry. As the camera comes in, focusing on effectively her dead face. She's been dead for 2 episodes now.
She certainly has.
And just having a focus on her face and then flip upside down as she's drained of blood by her loving brother, as he would call himself. I just thought that was a really, really, really difficult scene to watch almost, watching something like that, It
was a great piece of direction, that whole turn of the camera.
Absolutely.
To show that she's upside down. And of course, kind of goes nicely with the whole psychotropic aspect of this episode and the hallucinogenic, sort of to-ing and froing for Jim and so on. So really, really good. And of course, we see here that Mario, quite rightly probably, wants Jim out of Leslie's life. It's probably a good call in all honesty.
Yeah.
That, look, he's really, got to be out of our lives for this to work. So I suspect that Leslie and Mario's wedding may not go to plan.
Well, maybe, but I do see his point. I suppose I kind of see if you have that as your ex, if you have Jim as your ex, who every time you meet with them, you're either getting a gun pointed at you or getting attacked or getting kidnapped,
held at knife point.
Yeah, and pretty much all 3 of these had just happened the day before to the woman that he's engaged to. So I can kind of understand his point.
Absolutely. And one of the other interesting things here for me is remember that it was Falcone who held Barbara hostage in season 1 and effectively initiated her trend down into absolute insanity and ultimately into Arkham. And I'm just wondering, given Babs's relationship with Leslie Tompkins anyway, with that triangle with Jim, but also there's another triangle with Leslie now, which is through the Falcone family, through Mario. So
that's true.
I just wonder, she has a perfect opportunity for revenge. There seems to be a lot of it in Gotham Mad City for this season.
Absolutely.
What with Jervis, Tetch, and maybe even Babs will start to get into the mix here.
But remember, John, Babs isn't crazy. She's free.
Free as a bird.
John, overall, what did you think of the episode?
I would give this 4.5 Red Queens out of 5. I actually thought this was one of the strongest episodes. It really connected nicely to what had gone before. I really think that it probably amounts to a great turning point for Jim, moving away from being this bounty hunter, coming back into the fold of the GCPD. And it also, I think, gives Jim some story as to why he's been doing this. I mean, we got this whole notion that he's afraid and mixed up from last week's episode. We have it again in this episode from Harvey Bullock. And I think for me as well, it was just nice that the connection with his hallucinogenic experience was then in reality through Harvey Bullock, who is his friend and former colleague. Yeah. Again, loving the touch, loving how he is sort of manically sort of trying to destroy Gotham, although he's now in custody as well. So that will be a useful thing to see how that works. I presume he's going to go straight to Arkham, and with its leaky walls, we'll be straight out again. You know,
I hope he's not carrying a watch, because he'll just get out of the back of the van in the next episode.
And then again, I think just with, I'm really enjoying Captain Barnes here, and just how his kind of descent into whatever he's going to descend into as a result of his exposure to Alice's tainted blood. I think it's really being played nicely by Captain Barnes. You know, so this was a good one. And of course, finally, I suppose, you know, we do have this additional stress now for the Nig Mogglepot, with Isabella on the scene. And again, Court of Owls back in, always good. So this was a really nice, strong episode for me.
Oh, I'm totally with you on that. I think this kind of resurgence of the Jim Gordon that we loved at the beginning, this guy that wanted to come in and clean up the city, and then got scared off by the villains that have been attacking him the whole time. I love that this has made the turn back to him. So yeah, I'm with you. It's probably one of the best episodes this season so far. Really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah. I think with that, on to some feedback. We got in some feedback from Daniel Butcher.
That's right, yeah. Daniel says, I know I missed an episode. I just didn't have a lot to say about the last one. But he's wondering, is it me, or is the Penguin love triangle and the Bruce-Selina date storyline honestly, I was like, hey, where's Bruce? There's Bruce. I haven't seen him forever. Are they really just attempts to keep him in the show while the writers work out the Gordon arc? Stories for them seem really forced to me. Interesting, Daniel. I don't think so. A lot of this stuff, I think, has been building for seasons. You know, we're into the third season now, and Selina and Bruce's relationship was kind of written on the wall the first time they met. They had their meet cute in one of the first episodes. So it was always kind of going to happen. And when you got to see a show with 22 episodes a season, there's going to be a point when you're going to resolve some of those love stories, you know. I think Penguin and Ed, there's always been that kind of relationship between the two of them as well. I don't think it feels like they're forcing them into the episodes. I think it feels like this would be a natural thing to do when you have a lot of episodes. It gives you the opportunity to talk about them.
Absolutely. But I mean, I do think that always the danger is that Bruce is kept within Wayne Manor. I mean, we've had that before, and I'm really looking to see his doppelganger and the Court of Owls back in here, and hopefully that, you know, not only is it the Gordon arc, but that we have a Bruce arc that starts to move back into whatever the Court of Owls have got lined up for his doppelganger, so that they really you know, that it moves out of Wayne Manor, or there's a real present danger. I think, you know, again, I think there will need to be a time where Bruce starts to sort of think about his parents, the crime, the injustice, and how he moves to be Bruce Wayne. At this moment, it's that connection with Selina and Bruce, and I'm really enjoying it. And I think you can see where it comes from, but certainly it needs mixing up as well.
And a really good question from Daniel. He says, is this the end of the Jim growth arc? Did he learn what he needed to learn to become the future commish? Or does he need more lessons from the old commish? That's just a bit of a gag about Michael Chiklis used to play the main character on the commish. Nice one. Before he makes this plunge back into being the commissioner. What do you think? Is this him set on the path now, or does he still have some issues to resolve?
I think it's the start of him back on the path. Right. He needed the boot from his long lost dead father. But depending on who that shadowy figure is, maybe, you know, Jim is also going to get a bit of a shock and will need to reset if maybe it is his dead zombie father. Like, who knows? With Indian Hill, it could be anyone.
Who knows with Gotham? It could be anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Clayface could be back.
Yeah, but that would be really good. Like, that's a really useful character to have in the bag to sort of have other people come back from the dead.
Absolutely. Daniel, all right, peace out later. Bye to you as well. Thank you very much for that feedback, Daniel.
Thank you. And remember, you can provide any feedback through our email at feedback@gothamtvpodcast.com, or you can leave a voicemail. Just visit the website, gothamtvpodcast.com, and leave a voicemail on the little button. Yeah, that's on the right-hand side of the screen. Absolutely. Up to 90 seconds of voicemail feedback. We'd love to hear from some of our listeners through voicemail. And again, you can join us on our Facebook group or Twitter, and of course on any other good or evil podcast catcher, including iTunes. Just search Gotham TV Podcast.
Yeah, it's been great having you with us. We will be back next week with episode 8 of Gotham, Blood Rush. Next time.
Captain Barnes, I think.
I think so. But as I said, we will be over in Heroesville and FanFest this weekend. Hopefully we'll get to meet some of our listeners over there. It'll be good to meet up with you. Great to meet and looking forward to meeting the Gotham cast.
Absolutely.
But as I mentioned, just in case you're watching us on YouTube, we will not be doing a YouTube video next week. So, hey, subscribe to the podcast, listen to us in your earphones, or watch the audio only version of the podcast. But hoping we'll see you really soon, and next time we will be back with Blood Rush. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, thank you so much for listening, as always, and we will speak with you next time. Bye. Bye.
Thanks for being a Butch supporter. Butch loves you, baby.